This is part 2 of a discussion of aiming at pool. And once again, this discussion is limited to center ball hits on the cue ball. I've already argued that for a full shot and a thin cut shot, the most productive sight lines, aim lines, are between the cue ball and the object ball contact points. Maybe the most productive aim line is always between the cue ball and the object ball contact points. Note that for this half ball hit, the sight line between the two contact points is halfway between the two easy-to-achieve aim lines for a half ball hit. That between the center of the cue ball and the edge of the object ball, or the edge of the cue ball and the center of the object ball. So you can imagine a family of contact point-based aiming systems, all for which the ghost ball aim is used to determine the object ball contact point, and all for which the stick line is specified to be parallel to the aim line or the sight line, and the sight line is the contact ball sight line is determined by one of the methods on the next few slides. Here's one I made up while putting together this presentation, though I'm sure I'm the 1000th person to do this. If you start by determining the blue object ball contact point by the ghost ball technique, and then you seek the line, the sight line, that cuts off equal amounts of the left side of the object ball and the right side of the cue ball. In other words, the line that splits the difference of the overlap between the balls. That would be the contact point line. Or you can use a parallel line method. The blue line goes from the object ball contact point to the pocket. The red line is parallel to the blue line and goes through the center of the cue ball. The contact point line is the line that brings these two bands on the balls together as shown. Or you can use Joe Tucker's cleverly numbered balls that help you to determine these parallel lines and therefore the contact point aim line. Is it ever reasonable or sensible to sight along a line that is neither the stick line nor the contact point line? Well, you saw a hint of this a little while ago. Note here again for this half ball hit, the stick line here between the center of the cue ball and the edge of the object ball is easy to achieve, but so is the line from the edge of the cue ball to the center of the object ball. A family of techniques that takes advantage of this sort of thing is the fractional ball aiming techniques. It's common to divide the cue ball and the object ball both into quarters as shown here, and then consider the three overlaps that you can get by translating the object ball to the left here by 1/4, by 2/4, and by 3/4. And those are called a 3/4 ball hit on the left, a half ball hit in the middle, and a quarter ball hit on the right, where the naming is specifying the overlap between the balls. These three hits give angles of 14.5 degrees, 30 degrees, and 48.6 degrees if you ignore object ball throw. With object ball throw, these angles are a little bit smaller than this, say 13, 28, and 47, something like that. The view on the top here, and what I just showed you in the last slide, is the view of the balls from the top of the table. If you view the same overlaps along the line of the stick, along the surface of the table, they look like what you see on the bottom. If I make the cue balls so that you can see through them, like on the bottom here, you can see, say for the half ball hit in the middle, a line that goes through the center of the cue ball is pointing directly at the right edge of the object ball, and that's a convenient fact. If you look at the 3/4 ball hit on the left, a line through the center of the cue ball is pointing at the right quarter of the object ball. And then for the 1/4 ball hit on the right, you have a choice. You can either look from the left edge of the cue ball to the right quarter of the object ball, or you can look from the left quarter of the cue ball to the right edge of the object ball. So the basic idea is that some sight lines are easier to achieve than others, and we can choose those sight lines if they give the same overlap regardless of the stick line and regardless of the contact point line. Shown here is a way to number the balls to, I think, make some of this clear. Many people have probably numbered the balls like this. I just made this up while I was putting this presentation together. So if we number the cue ball from 2 on the left edge to 0 in the middle to -2 on the right edge, and if we number the object ball exactly the reverse of that, -2 on the left to 0 in the middle to 2 on the right, then we get an interesting fact. If you line up for, say, a 3/4 ball overlap and you take any possible aim line, any vertical line here, the numbers all add up to 1. If you look at a half ball hit and you take any possible aim line, the numbers all add up to 2. And if you look at a quarter ball overlap, the numbers all add up to 3. So what you can do is look at the different points on the balls and find either the cue ball or the object ball points that are easy to achieve without a lot of estimating, and find ones that add up to the prescribed number for the shot. So 3/4 ball, half ball, and quarter ball were 1s and 2s and 3s by this accounting. What about shots that are in between those? What about a 1.5 or a 2.5 or a 1/2? Well, here's a convenient fact that you might find useful. The distance, a quarter ball distance, the width between any of these two blue bars here, is 14.3 millimeters. Most sticks are less than 14.3 millimeters wide, but they're not far. They're about 10% from that. So if you line your stick up for a center ball hit, what that means is that the left edge of the stick is at about 0.5 on the cue ball, and the right edge of the stick is about -0.5 on the cue ball. So the left edge of the stick pointing to the center of the object ball is a 0.5 plus 0 is a 0.5. That's a 7/8 ball hit, and so forth. So you can get, using the edge of the stick and approximating that as -0.5 or +0.5, you can get the halfway between overlaps. So one way to achieve a best practices guide systematically here is to look at the cue ball aim points and ask which ones are easy to achieve without any approximations or estimating. That would be the center of the cue ball and the left and the right edge of the cue ball. That would be the top line below cue ball aim points. Same thing on the object ball. The center and the left and the right edge are easy to achieve with no approximations. That's the top line there. The second lines are the points on the cue ball and the object ball that we can achieve with a little bit of estimation. Say the edge of the stick, the 0.5s, and the quarter ball, the 1s. When you want to achieve a particular hit, you add a cue ball aim point to an object ball aim point to get a number, and what you try to do is to add numbers from the top line. Then there'd be no estimating at all. If you can't do that, you try to add a number from one of the top lines to one of the bottom lines, and then there would be only one estimation involved. And it turns out you can do that for all of these hits here. So once again, this has not been a tutorial in any way about how to aim. I don't actually advocate any particular technique that I've talked about here. But what I've done is tried to describe the different sorts of ideas that you can expect to see when people talk about aiming systems, and I've tried to describe them in the same context. So hopefully we can communicate about different systems better than we have in the past. And once again, if somebody talks about an aiming system, it's reasonable to get answers to the 3 questions. What's the prescription to find the target? What's the prescription for the stick line? And what's the prescription for the sight line?